Hi, Anti-Society. Welcome back to the Antisocial Planet, and today we are reading episodes 9 and 10 of Tower of God. So, the last couple of episodes that I read were a little bit more comedic than I was expecting the series to be, and we got through the couple of challenges. So we got through the kind of death match thing that was happening with Bum making it through and kind of making it through by waiting it out. He didn't really fight anyone, which, I mean, considering that we've seen him try to fight, and boy, does he not have training for fighting. It's probably for the best that he didn't have to. And then there was the second challenge where there was a time limit and you had to make a team of 3. So kind of an interesting challenge because it means that the person you're closest with is gonna have to be on your team because of the time constraint, and the person closest to you is probably the person you were just trying to kill. So I feel like there's going to be some interesting dynamics as we meet some of the other characters. We've kind of briefly seen at least one of the other teams, and then of course we have Bomb with Kun, I'm pretty sure is his name, the boy with the white hair and the blue eyes. And then of course we have Rock, who, didn't want to be on the team, but one of the kind of rules around that challenge was that you had to be in physical contact with the person that you were on the team with, and Bomb and Kun just kind of jumped on him at the last second, and looks like they're going to be a team. So I will be interested in this chapter to see what the next challenge is, if we're going to meet who is in charge of the tower, if we're going to progress to another floor, because I haven't seen kind of what the process is yet, because all we saw was Heaton's floor, which was like an exception because it was outside of like the regular flow of how people go through the tower. So interesting to see if any of that happens, if we get to see any of the inside of this kind of floating city that's been happening, and to meet some of the other teams and characters. We saw 3 of them in the last one, and I like meeting new characters. I want to see what other dynamics we're going to be getting. Along with, I would like to see Lady Yuri and Evan again. I want to know if they're actually going to catch up to Bomb, and if that is going to be something that is like a good meeting, like, getting some more allies to help get up the tower, or a not so great meeting in that Bomb kind of took the Black March with him, which he wasn't supposed to, really. So lots of little threads kind of starting up. I feel like we're still getting into the motion of the series, so let's get into episode 9. Episode 9. Are we going to learn about this floating city thing? I would love to learn about the floating city. So it's Evenkel's ship city thing that I assume they've been teleported to, given the setting we're seeing for the next challenge, because it's a second test point. Are these going to be important characters or characters that are going to be dragon fodder in some way? I never know anymore. We got introduced to a bunch of characters during the beginning of this, like, the last challenge with, like, all the fighting, and they didn't make it, so. Oh, hey! It's Guy that randomly showed up and was in way over his head. Hello! I like the, I wanna hit you attitude. Hats and Shibitsu. I'm assuming Shibitsu is random guy in tracksuit, and then Anak is lizard person. Aw, he's just trying. Don't be so mean to him. Aw, new characters. So Lady Nare, and then Knight, I'm assuming. I do love the, like, love spasming here. The, like, awareness of the trope. Wings dude. I don't know how to feel about him. because we did see him with like the arms and stuff behind him last time, so I'm feeling like he's maybe a little bit violent. He looks chill, but I'm assuming he's violent. Interesting too of like who would team up with him as well, and who would he like allow to team up with him if he like just attacked everyone that he came in contact with. Mood though. I'd want to take a nap after all that too. Oh, I'm so excited to meet all the characters because I love big casts. Aww. Aww. They're like holding Rock's hands. That's so cute. Oh, they made him the leader. My heart ruined. Moment ruined. But it was cute while it lasted. Lero Rose test. People being a little confrontational now that they have to face each other after trying to kill off each other. Oh no. This guy seems nice. That's not gonna last, is it? I like their eyes. I just momentarily distracted by character design. Uh-oh. Who's getting involved? So are you Evankel? Because I'm assuming that's the name of the person who's in charge of this particular floor. He looks like a cricket. Oh, okay. Lero, you have very big ears. That might just be the style, but nothing wrong with that. So that seems like a storyline that's gonna come back. The beef between these two. Ooh. Rankers are people who have reached the top of the tower. That's cool. That's cool. So there are people who have reached the top of the tower and have then still been around? That was one of my questions earlier on. I was like, do we know anyone who's actually made it to the top and like survived, or can guarantee that their wish was granted, or what? And there's the answer to my question. Okay. Very intrigued by rankers and would like to see more of them. And also, what did you wish for? What was your desire? What happened at the top of the tower? I'm sure I won't find that out for a while, but I can dream. Why do I feel like Rock is like winding up to pick a fight with this guy? Because he's really strong. Aw. I want to see Lady Yuri and Evan again. Where are they at? What are they up to? It seems overly cutesy. I don't trust it. Everybody's with me on some level. See? That look? I don't trust that look. Anyone who's lit from like under to like shade their eyes is always a way of like showing malice on the character. What did we just do? Did we just randomly cause an explosion? Did we blow people up? What is going on? Oh no, tracksuit guy. Shibisu? I think that's his name. So, Shinsu was the like substance that eel was suspended in, swimming in, living in, if I remember correctly. So that's like a key element to the magic system then. If he was able to make like a barrier out of it. That's kind of cool. That it's like they're using kind of like an element that is like fundamental to how the world works, like the world is in the tower. Because you guys told me in the comments to kind of look at the tower as kind of its own thing, like its own kind of dimension, or like multiple dimensions depending on how you look at it. So I'm assuming this Shinsu is like a little bit more dynamic and a little bit more fundamental to the magic system and stuff like that. Okay, well I didn't know it was everywhere, but thank you for clarifying. Because I was thinking of it as kind of like water, because we did have like the eel thing kind of swimming in it, but it's more dynamic than that, I guess, if it's like also about breathing. I guess that's true too, because if you're jumping between like different worlds, different dimensions, different, I don't know, planes of existence, you'd want to make sure that everybody can breathe and like survive. I mean survive like in terms of just it being habitable to multiple different species and I don't know, evolutionary tracks and stuff. If you have like lots of different peoples coming to the tower. Interesting. People tend to use tend to use Shinsu in some way to help them fight and make their way up the tower. I'm assuming that we're getting a bunch of background on Shinsu because that's going to be like an important part to this pre-test. So you have to get through this like really concentrated amount of Shinsu. Like it's so concentrated that it's basically a solid. Interesting. I feel like that's like not only just like having an adverse reaction to something, like the substance in and of itself, but I feel like it's also like one, it's like physical strength, so like being able to like physically be able to pass through any kind of concentration of an element, like you know, that there's a certain amount of physical strength that's needed to do just this task in general, but I think it's also like a psychological test because it's kind of like people who like break boards, you know, like with their bare hands, people like hit through like wooden boards in like different martial arts and stuff, and the kind of like trick to that, like yeah, there's like a certain amount of strength, like physical strength behind that, but most of it's psychological. Like I don't want to talk about this like I know because I don't. I briefly took karate as a kid and I was like, it's not for me. So someone who knows more about this can probably clarify this, but it's, I believe the trick to getting to like actually breaking those boards is like you have to aim behind the board. Like you have to aim as if you are absolutely certain that your hand is going to move like past the board and get to the space like beyond it. So and it's a psychological thing just as much as a physical thing, because if you believe that you can't break the board, you're not going to. You have to believe that it is going to break and your hand is going to end up on the other side of it in order to actually do like to actually break it. So I feel like that is sort of being incorporated with this too. Like have to believe 100% that you are going to make it through this barrier if you're actually going to succeed. So it's not just a physical thing, it's a psychological thing too. Okay, so everybody has to make it through. No pressure. It's a good way of weeding out the crowd though. Fair enough. You're gonna need luck to succeed at certain things too. Plus, I mean, also if you're making teams, like part of it is like, yeah, you were kind of limited to whoever you were near in making your team, but also you had some power over that because it was like whoever you were fighting. If you were fighting someone who was a lot weaker than you, then you know, like you weren't like really a fighter, right? Because if you're picking fights with people you know you can win against, that's not a challenge, that's not progression, that's like taking the easy way out, right? So if you were actually picking fights with people who were like legitimately strong in order to like progress, then you would be near those people who were strong enough that they would like actually be on par with your strength or stronger. So there is some control that they had over who they were going to be near and who would end up in their group, but some of it's just luck. Yeah, see, I don't trust that face. He was acting all cutesy and stuff. Don't trust it. Especially someone who's made it all the way up to the top of the tower. That person, not right in the head. I'm just calling it right now. Good point. I think it does have nothing to do with fairness. I think a lot of the tests on the for the tower are not going to have anything to do with fairness. It's like I just said, of like anyone who makes it to the top of the tower can't be like psychologically stable. Like you've got to have something there's got to be some kind of trauma just making it through the tower. So of course they're not going to be playing fair, especially if like they know what it's like to go up the tower, like from their perspective. They're gonna be like, well, this is the kind of thing I had to deal with, so that's what I'm gonna do for my test too. So I feel like there's gonna be a lot of times where it's just luck and everything's gonna be rigged against them actually making it, because I don't know how much they actually want someone to make it to the top of the tower. Like, out of this group, are they expecting anyone to make it to the tower? Is there always at least one person that does, or is there times when like there's a whole group of regulars and they just never make it? No one makes it to the top. Bam has been in Shinsu before, right? When he was fighting the eel, so I don't think he'll be an issue. He's just still standing there. See, I'm like, Bam probably is fine. Like, he's probably like, whatever. I love the like, do you want me to like I'll walk through it and I'll come back, like, you know, to properly pass the test, right? Like, that's fair. Bam is so cute sometimes, where he's just like, isn't this what we should do? And I'm like, you little cutie. The rest of his team has to pass though. I think they'll be okay. I think Rock, because they like Kun said, has been like fighting in Shinsu, so he should be okay. And then I think Kun will be fine. I think he's got some crazy skills that I haven't even gotten a chance to fully see yet. People starting to put things together. Like, there's people who are choosing to be outraged by the fact that Bam, you got pushed out and stuff. And then it looks like we're going to some people who are like the thinkers, who are like interesting, like are able to deduce that and be like, just like Kun did, where they're like, no, his teammates got pushed out. So it's not a mistake in terms of like where he was standing. So that means there has to be something different about him. So we'll get to see kind of who the thinkers are out of the characters we've seen. Oh, did they figure out that he's an irregular? That he's got some special stuff going on? Oh, I feel like the real tests are gonna start now. As like people in the tower start to figure out who Bam is, and like he kind of develops more as a character. On to episode 10. Episode 10. Ooh. So even this rebel, I don't know, can't easily get through the barrier. I don't trust this either. Bam's all by himself. He doesn't have like his teammates to back him up. I don't know why I've suddenly decided to trust Kun, but I have. And I feel like it's just because I'm like, he's all that Bam has, that I'm just like deciding to trust him. I don't know how much I should trust him though. I feel like that's gonna break my heart a little bit. Never trust a cute face. Oh no. He's so childish sometimes though. I feel like he's not ready. I don't know what this tower is gonna do to Bam, but it's just gonna like sap that childish wonder and like any ounce of innocence that he might have out of him. I can just see it coming. Ooh, good point though, Bam. He can ask about Rachel though. I kind of forgot that Rachel existed. I'm not gonna lie, because she's like only important to Bam. Everyone else is like doing their own thing. So I kind of forgot that she existed. Are we seeing auras now? Is this a new power set, either by Lizard Girl or by Bam? Interesting. Is he doing something to like ensure that she can get past the wall? Like, is Lororo, such a weird thing for me to say, but is he like manipulating it in some way so that she will be the one that can pass through? Because we've already established it isn't a fair test. A tie then. So does that mean they both get to ask a question and get their answer? Or do we have to play again? I don't trust this face. I don't trust it. He's being oddly, like, helpful too. I got a bad feeling I don't trust any of the rankers to be like sane or just helpful, especially since this is like the floor that he's in charge of. I don't see it. Also, do the other do rankers get along together? Is another question I have. Because I assume that they would be a little bit competitive after like their time in the tower. So I would assume they are also just competitive with each other. This is the real question. I think the one that interests the Roro. Okay, I like him though. I like Tracksuit Guy. Just like screaming and running as hard as he can into the wall. He's a very like Sokka energy, which if you've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, you know what I'm talking about. I love Sokka, so I'm in. Rude. You deserve it. I love the self-awareness of this comic. There are so many times when it's just like aware that it is a comic and it's used tastefully. You can break the fourth wall too much for comedic effect, but Tower of God seems to be doing it the right way. And he just like shuffles in with his blanket, like just easily passes through. Love it. So he has a cube too, fitting with his yellow aesthetic. Handy little diagram. I almost feel like I should like screenshot it for future reference. Bomb's like, no, I knew all of that. Totally, of course I did. Ooh. So, does the system assume that people are like born in the outer tower? Because I feel like that's not how it is. I've just been like assuming that people are from like different places, different worlds maybe, because I think of like the tower as existing in this like, I don't know, weird in between place that just kind of like has access to multiple worlds and dimensions. I think of it like the TARDIS. Except like it doesn't physically travel. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Is Hedon also someone who made it to the top of the tower? Is there a story there about why he doesn't like irregulars? Like, did that impede his ability to get to the top or whatever? Or is it just because he like sorts people? Or is it because he sorts through the different like candidates for the tower, so he just like his job gets harder and more complicated if there are irregulars that just like show up on their own instead of being like chosen to come to the tower? Ugh. Alright, just there was suddenly a face on the cube. That is my question too. Can we meet the other irregulars? Because I would like to. He's coming out, going to confront this so-called strongest person. Oh no, don't say that. Don't say he looks weak and skinny. He has made it to the top of the tower and continues to like maintain how the tower works. He can probably beat you up without even having to lift a finger. I'm just assuming that's what's about to happen. It's about to one-shot this guy. I'm gonna have to wait to see this cool fight. I mean, it's probably not gonna be a real fight. I'm assuming we're just gonna see some cool power and then it'll quickly be over because let's face it. I don't think this guy's all talk. I don't think it'll work out. So I felt like that was a lot of building up a bunch of stuff. So we had like some world building stuff, and then we were learning about irregulars and like the different, like the outer towers and the middle part and the inner tower, and we were learning about rankers and how they eventually can become administrators of the different floors, and we were learning about Shinsu, which is also something that we were introduced to, but we were kind of learning how it pertains to the magic system and all that kind of stuff. And then we were also learning a lot about the different characters. So we'd been introduced to a few of them before this point, but we were kind of properly getting introduced to some of the key players as we progress. I'm assuming that we're getting introduced to them because they're like gonna pass this test and be with Bum and friends for a little while. So, you know, kind of establishing a lot of different things. I do not trust this Lororo guy. Nope. I sense trickery and deceit. I know that we're gonna get some cool moments, I think, with him in the next part, where we're gonna see him like show off his power a little bit more, be a little more flashy with it, and sort of get a real feeling of what rankers are and what kind of power you get as you progress through the tower. I don't like that he's taken such a key interest in Bam, though. I think that's my big thing, because I'm getting more and more protective of Bam. I feel like partly because just like getting to know him and like spending time with him and cheering for him to like, you know, make it through the tower, but I also like every time he has these little childish adorable moments and I'm just like, I want to protect you. I just want to protect Bam and have him be okay, and I know that this tower and this world and these people are just going to wreck him, and I'm not ready for the heartbreak. If I did have one critique about these couple of chapters, there was not enough rock in it. If you guys enjoyed this video, you can check out this playlist that goes back to all of my Tower of God reactions, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!